All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So glad to have you with us. Welcome, folks. Thank you so much for being here today to learn all about eco-villages in Bali. I'm so excited for today's event. It's evening time where I live, so I'm on the east coast of the United States. And it's actually the next morning in Bali, very early for Kavitha, who is our Bali Eco-Village tour guide, who's going to be one of our main presenters today. So very much appreciating Kavitha for getting up early and being here with us. Oh, and it's really nice to see some familiar faces. Hi, Heidi. Heidi's been a participant on, I think, 2 or 3 of our past Eco-Village tours. Really glad to have you here. Excellent. So while folks are still arriving and getting settled in, I would really love if you could introduce yourself in the chat. So go ahead and find that chat button on your Zoom screen and just put in a little note, like where you are in the world, what has you interested in being here today, what are you hoping to learn or get out of the session. Go ahead and put in a note for us because I have a feeling we have people from all over. I know we have a lot of Europeans who are going to be watching this recording where the time zone didn't quite work out for them to join live. Beautiful. Sabine, currently in New York. Good. So go ahead and put in a note. Oh, and Timothy. Timothy is another participant from our Costa Rica Eco-Village tour and is coming back again this winter for another trip. Hey, Tim. Excellent. Oh yeah, and Heidi, you're in Ecuador. Okay, nice. Some good global representation. Amazing. Good. Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Cynthia, and I am the founder of Ecovillage Tours. And I started Ecovillage Tours after more than a decade myself of traveling around the world and visiting so many different eco-villages, intentional communities, all kinds of projects and places where people are really reimagining how we live. And this was deeply inspiring for me. It's really expanded my view of what's possible for our future as a humanity, as we need to figure out solutions to all the craziness that's going on in the world, and has helped inform my life path. So I live myself in a small intentional community here in Vermont. And it is my life's work to help make it more possible, easier for people like yourselves to learn about eco-villages and to hopefully get out there and visit some communities that you may decide to join or maybe get some inspiration and knowledge from to eventually start a new community project. Because we all know we need more community right now. We need more regenerative, sustainable communities. And that's what we're here to learn about today. We're here to learn about what is happening in Bali. So I think I'll go now to my slides. I'm just like looking in the chat here. Maz coming in from Toronto, Lotus in Florida. Ah, oh, Paris. Oh my, Christine, it's very late there. Thank you for being here. Oh, it's amazing. Good. Okay, so I'll share my screen and get this PowerPoint presentation queued up and share a little bit more to start about Ecovillage tours, and then I want to introduce Kavitha and hear more from her. This background photo, some people have asked me what it is. It's actually an aerial shot of one of the communities. And this, I think, is just, I have not been to Bali, admittedly, But when I see photos of this like aerial shot of all of these cool architectural structures and the gardens and the lushness, it just feels like such a magical place. And I'm really looking forward to learning with you about Bali and Indonesia and that region of the world and what's happening with the projects there. So to share a bit more, so Ecovillage Tours, I mentioned I started the company that I actually started in 2019, but then of course COVID happened and that slowed us down for a while. So we picked up steam in 2023 and we've really been growing very quickly. We have now hosted 14 trips. So these are 1 to 2 week long trips where we visit a different community each day. And we've hosted 14 trips in 8 countries, which have brought in more than 100 participants to visit more than 100 communities. So, really helping to strengthen this global network of ecovillages and help people connect with them more deeply. We are, as far as I know, the only travel company that solely focuses on ecovillages and intentional communities. We craft each trip to bring folks to communities that show a diversity of what exists out there, communities that we have deep relationships with, so that when you come as a participant, you're not just coming as a random visitor, you're coming as like a friend of a friend, with that expert eco-village guidance. And we're going to hear a lot more from Kavitha, who, grew up in Oroville and has so much experience and just the eco-village living in her blood. Um, all of our trips are designed to be all inclusive. So that means all the meals, transportation, and lodging taken care of, and this Bali trip is no exception. And we do that so that you can really appreciate the communities where you are and not have to worry about logistics. We just take care of all of that. And we have actually some of our staff members here today, especially Jess, who I'll introduce later. And she is the logistics queen. So she's the one who helps make all of the logistics possible for so many of our trips. And then the last point here, connection with community. We really design these trips to be an opportunity not only for you to connect with the communities that you visit, like the planned visits to these different communities, but also to foster a sense of community among the group of people who you're traveling with. And oftentimes we hear from folks that that was the unexpected part of this whole thing and perhaps the most powerful part of the Ecovillage tour experience. So I'll mention our Bali trip coming up. It's going to be January 26th to February 4th. So that's a 10-day trip. And I believe at this time only have 4 spots left. So it's filling up. And I really want to put that on people's radar. If this is a trip that you've been thinking about, don't wait too much longer to get your deposit in and join us, because I think this trip is going to fill up very quickly here. So if you want to learn more during this presentation or afterwards, you can learn more at ecovillagetours.com/Bali. And this Bali trip really has grown out of many different collaborations and network building. Some of you may know we have the India Ecovillage Tour, which will now be hosting for the second year. And I think we initially, Kavitha, got connected because of exploring, maybe having you be a guide for that trip. And you're like, well, actually, I live now in Bali and I'm starting this eco lodge there, and let's do a Bali trip. And then we did. And you've been so amazing with helping to make that possible and really I know you have a lot going on with your family and this Ecovillage design education course that you're going to be hosting. I think it starts tomorrow. So just so appreciate you being here today and the time that you've taken to craft this very special experience. So I'm gonna hand it over to you. I think I'll just mention for folks here the photos. So as we've been saying, Kavitha grew up in a community in India called Auroville, and that's this photo here, and is now starting a new eco-community project in Bali. So Kavitha, I'll just hand it over to you to share more about yourself and your story.
Hello, good morning or good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm sitting right here and you can see the roof of my house in the picture. I was happy to see that because yeah, we're sitting here at Alaya Eco Lodge, and this Eco Lodge existed in Bali long before we got here. So we're very grateful to have a place to land and develop our projects through. We are building several eco-village related projects in Bali at the moment, but our background is really Auroville, so where we draw our energy from, and most of our networks have been really coming through the Auroville experience, and also having worked with the Global Eco-Village Network and Gaia Education for many years. It's yeah, it's like Cynthia said, an experience that's bringing together so many different networks and experiences. And I'm feeling very grateful for having just stepped off a course online with Gaia Education, one of their modules, and this weekend stepping into an eco-village design that we're hosting here for the second time in Bali. And very grateful to now be collaborating with Cynthia and Jessica, who's also in Bali, to create tours. We're very excited to share with you all about how Bali as an eco region has spoken to us, and how this space, more than just an eco village, standalone eco village, we found an eco region in which we felt like, yes, actually, it's very conducive to the type of work we'd love to do and the type of life experience we'd like to have. So we're in the Northwest, very close to the national park, the Bali Barat National Park. But this tour will be including an experience starting in the south, in the hub of hundreds of projects, in fact. And we've chosen a few of our favorite to share with you. And then the tour will lead up over the mountain and down the other side. So you will get to see a bit of both South, Middle, and Northern Bali. So we're very excited. It's going to be our first tour, and I really look forward to sharing more detail with you all. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kavitha. I love how you said an eco region and really highlighting, it sounds like hundreds of projects in this region. It feels so rich. And not only did you grow up in Oroville, but as I understand it, you're the third generation to have grown up there?
Yes, my grandparents were there before it started, and they were in Pondicherry, nearby the city where the founders had an ashram, and later Orville was founded, and they were part of it. So my Indian grandparents lived in the village next door, and had their children join the community. And my Dutch German grandparents had come on a ship to India to have their children and join the community. So my parents met in Ecovillage, and I had my first child in Orville as well. So now we're counting 4 generations. So yeah, a lot of my family and network and friends are still there, and Orville's going through a very difficult transition over the last handful of years. So we've found more freedom to express ourselves here in the Bali context, but we are still very deeply connected to Orville, and we'll be going back there right after the tour in January, and hopefully connect to people again.
Oh. Great. And when you say we, you mean yourself and your husband as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a good question. It will not just be me on this tour holding space for you all. My husband has joined the Orville community and lived there for over 15 years before we transitioned to Bali. And he's been part of the core team initiating three different eco-village community projects in the Orville context. So he also has a very rich experience of community building in very different types of projects, and he's very excited to share that with you. His niche or his expertise has really been in the legal financial aspect. So for those of you who are wondering about, how does it work around the questions of economy relating to living in eco-village, he's the guy for that. He's obsessed with co-ops, and he loves to talk about alternative ways of living in economy together. So he'll be joining us with our two kids. So we'll be creating a sense of community along the journey. And we'll also have our local partner, Ketut Sarkar, who is a local leader in the nearby village. He's been working with us to design eco-village design education programs in this context to really make sure that they're relevant to the culture here. And he will be our taxi driver and our host. So he's a man of many traits, and we're so grateful for him to be coming along because he can also add the Indonesian perspective for you all. And recently we had one more person join, and her name is Victoria. Um, and she's coming now to Bali. She should be landing tomorrow. She's been with us for the first Eco-Village design education last year, and now she's completed the entire 4 modules online of her learning journey, and she's moving towards teacher training. And she's such a ray of sunshine. We call her Victoria Sunshine. So she will be holding space to share with you about her learning journey relating to eco-villages, and also um, what's possible if any of you would like to continue after the tour to dive a little bit deeper into this content. So we are a team waiting to receive you. And Jessica is here too in Bali, and maybe we will get to see her during that week, I hope.
Yes, excellent. Yeah, I love the richness of all the different people and partners that have gone into shaping this tour experience. I think it's going to bring a lot of valuable, diverse perspectives. And yes, now I want to introduce Jess, who is currently living in Bali and grew up in the United States and is also our director of tour operations. So Jess, I'm gonna put the Zoom spotlight on you so everyone can see you. And would love would love if you could say hi to everyone and share a little bit about your experience of what's drawn you to Bali and how has it been living there for you?
Sure. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Nice to see everyone. Nice to see some familiar faces, Heidi and Sabine. We were all together in Oroville this past year, so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, so I've been working with Ecovillage Tours since December of 2023, so kind of almost since the very beginning. And I've been working very closely with Cynthia and the team to put these tours together. My experience actually was in Latin America. So I lived for many, many, many years in Latin America between Mexico and Costa Rica and Guatemala, and quite a bit of travel throughout Latin America. But I met my partner in Bali 6 years ago, and he's from India, but he was living in Bali. And ever since we met, he's been like, let's go back to Bali, let's go back to Bali. So finally, that day came when we decided to take the leap. And we also have a daughter who's 4. So, that's a really big consideration in choosing where we want to live, where we want to bring her up. And Bali is a really wonderful place for that. I think, especially for having kids, there's just so much to offer here. So I'm actually in Ubud, which is the southern part of Bali, much more touristy, much more populated. So the downfalls of that are that, there's more traffic and it's just a bit more congested. But the upsides are that there's just so much here. As far as schools go, there's so many schools to choose from for our daughter, extracurricular activities, events, just you name it. It seems to be here. Like it's this kind of like metropolis, even though it's really not that big of a place, but it's quite sprawling and it still feels rural and like you're in the jungle and there's rice fields everywhere. But there's also quite a bit happening, and we're about 45 minutes to the nearest beach. So that's also very nice to have that nearby. So, yeah, if anybody has questions about moving to Bali, living in Bali, I'm happy to help with that as well. And I do plan to meet you all on the tour, definitely at least once. So, looking forward to that experience as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jess.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and folks, please do use the chat to connect with each other. We're going to have lots of time for Q&A at the end. But if you have questions coming up at any point, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll either try to weave that into the conversation or address it at the end. Good. Okay, so thank you, Jess. All right. Now, let's talk a little bit more Bali, about Bali, Indonesia. I have the map there, and we'll speak a little bit about what makes Bali so special as this eco region, as Kavitha said, and then we'll turn and we'll look at a few of the communities more specifically. So yeah, Kavitha, if you could introduce us especially for folks who maybe like me, I know it's a special place, but I don't know that much about Bali actually.
Hmm. Okay, thank you. I wish I had prepared. We are also relatively new in Bali. With my husband has been through several times, and we're going to be completing our official second year here in officially having moved. So I'd love to tell you more about Indonesia, but it feels like our scope of work is really centered in Bali. So what we've discovered is actually Indonesia is the world's fourth largest population. We hadn't known that before we moved here, and that was really interesting. And although much of the country is Muslim, Bali has a unique flavor of Hindu heritage. And I began to realize why perhaps I felt personally very comfortable here, having this Hindu flavor from India, and also having been Dutch colonized with my Dutch heritage and hearing little words here and there in the language they've created here. The Indonesian language is actually a created language. It's relatively recent, where they have brought together words from many of the different communities and cultures of Bali to create a new language to help unite the country. So it's a very, very interesting place to be. I've heard also Indonesia being perhaps the world's most welcoming country and most generous country, the one that really spontaneously offers to donate and to support the world in moments of crisis. So we felt that. We felt really a warm welcome when we landed here, and really the local culture being very open and receptive to wanting to develop new ideas and somehow still holding on to their culture so deeply while remaining open to new connections. So we were like, wow, this is really magical. This is something we have not experienced elsewhere. And having like, traveled also quite a bit, and my husband too, we were happily surprised to see that in Bali. And what more can I tell you about this context? Yeah, the tour has been designed to also reflect the cultural, spiritual aspect of this place. So it's known as the Tri Hita Karana, and it's the three dimensions of relationship between people to nature, and people to the divine. So we're offering not just an eco tour of the region, but we really want to create an experience, like Cynthia said, the experience of living in community and journeying in community. So what does it feel like to create that together, even if it is just for 10 days? It's possible, and it's deeply shifting. And we're really excited to share some of the ways in which we can do that within a short period of time. And people to nature is really about also introducing you to spaces of beauty in Bali. We'll be visiting waterfalls and hot springs, and we'll be on the mountain and by the coast and snorkeling in the coral reefs. So this tour is a way to experience that, to really understand that eco-village development is about a sense of place and a sense of connection with nature. So we'll be having a lot of site visits to speak to people, a lot of downtime in nature, and a lot of shared time together to co-create some new steps in our life. So I hope that that gives us sort of feeling of where we are, and yeah, we're here to discover it together.
Oh, yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Very eloquent. I love that. I love getting, yeah, a sense. I got kind of goosebumps when you were talking about that aspect of the three parts: connection with people, connection with nature, connection with the divine. Ah, I love that. Great. Well, let's look now at some communities in Bali more specifically. So to do this part of the presentation, I'm actually gonna stop my screen share for a moment and I'm gonna pop on over to our website. So this is the ecovillagetours.com/Bali webpage. And this is accessible to all of you. Please use this page and all the other pages on our website as research tools. Even if you never end up coming on a tour, I hope you do, of course, but if you don't, you can still use this as an opportunity to learn about what's happening in a particular region of the world. So I'm just going to scroll on down. Kavitha has helped us put a lot of information on this webpage. You can see the tour itinerary. There's a map here. And I'm just going to keep on scrolling down to the featured communities section. And yeah, Kavita, would you mind just briefly, and I know you could talk for a long time about each of these places, but just briefly, just a few highlights for people to learn more about what's happening in Bali and some of the communities there.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, we have scheduled a lot more than is actually visible on on the website. So I'm excited to share that with you. Mainly, we haven't published because some of these experts that you will be meeting have very busy schedules, and slotting them in means shifting last minute. So we didn't want to present something that might have slight changes to it. So the ones that are up there are really surely included in the tour, but you will be getting a lot more as well. Our favorite, I think, I would share in the south is really the Green School project, and that's the screenshot of what you saw from the aerial view behind the first slide. And the Green School is a remarkable project relating to creating alternative spaces for education. Like Jessica had shared, Bali actually has quite an interesting number of alternative learning spaces, and has been attracting quite a few people looking to bring their children up in a more healthy context. So the Green School is really one of these international highlights, and it's changed a lot over the years, a bit like Oroville has. You know, it's reached its um, its stage of development, in which it's now also facing several challenges and shifts in governance, but it still remains one of the most recommended site visits during this tour and for when we have people visiting Bali. Nearby the Green School, there is the Sibang Eco-Village that has been built by parents as a neighborhood for sustainable living. So we will be fortunate enough to visit this place, which is normally not on a tour's map. Because they relate to the eco-village topic, they felt, okay, this might be one of those groups that we are happy to welcome. And what else can I tell you? We will be staying in a beautiful eco lodge in the mountains called Bali Eco Stay, which is absolutely stunning. They have their own waterfall on campus. And once we get down to the other side, we will get to see what a regional hub for like-minded initiatives look like. So here in the northwest of Bali, we have many of the expats that once perhaps used to live in the south, now making their way up north to initiate and create eco livelihood here. And we have, for example, Plastic Free Bali and Friends of Menjangan that are initiatives for the island, but are really based here in the north, relating to conservation work and ensuring that we develop in a way that is harmonious between with people, nature, and the divine. And this is a very interesting context, as there's a really rich diversity on every level. We have spaces where international expats are able to dialogue with local leaders, and I've not seen that happen anywhere else in the world, where we're really working together. And a lot of the foreigners that have moved to Bali actually learn the language. It's a relatively easy language to learn, and within a year or two, many of the people living here pick it up. And likewise for the Balinese, they've really taken on welcoming the world. Many of you might have heard about Bali because it is a tourist destination and it is attracting hundreds of thousands of people a year. So how to manage that interest and how to integrate that into the social fabric here is really interesting, and I believe perhaps a model for the world. Just last week, we heard that this village that we're in, Pemutran, won an award for being on the top list of tourist destinations for eco living. And we were like, wow, okay, so that's again validating all the reasons to be here. And of course, there's a huge challenge around pollution and yeah, just the impact that comes with so many people being interested in a region. So we will look at that as well, so that you have a real holistic picture of what it means to live in Ecovillage in Bali. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Excellent. Yeah, and for folks who want to learn more, as I mentioned, we put a lot of information about each of these community projects, and there's even more that just hasn't yet made it to the website. Fantastic. All right, so I think next I will just share a few more logistical pieces with you about the trip itself that we have coming up. And then once that is done, we will get to your questions and really spend the rest of the time just answering your questions that you may have about Bali, about community living, about potentially moving there. So let me get this slideshow back up. Okay, so once again, the Bali Ecovillage tour coming up January 26th to February 4th. And if you are not familiar with an Ecovillage tour, I just want to share with you more concretely because we get a lot of questions about this. So for the Bali Ecovillage tour, it's going to be 10 days. That includes all of your transportation once you get to the starting point, which is the airport in this case. And then from that point forward, all of your meals, lodging, all of the tour activities, including visiting the communities. And we do compensate the communities that we visit. Sometimes people don't realize that. So that's part of the cost that you pay is actually contributing directly to supporting these community initiatives, which is something we are very proud of and very committed to. During this trip, you're going to visit more than 8 different community projects, a diverse array, getting quality time with the founders and the residents in these communities, as well as, like Kavitha mentioned, amazing nature excursions and educational opportunities to really help connect you with the region as well as the fellow tour participants with a lot of, facilitation woven into that. So you get to maybe feel into, okay, what would it feel like to actually live in a community? And hopefully all of this will support you in taking some of those next steps on your path. We're trying to not just have this be like a one-off peak life experience and then you go back to normal life, but really have something that you can integrate with you and help you as you make, potentially big decisions about your next steps and where you want to go next, the work you want to do, who you want to be in the world. And we have a growing alumni network to support that as well. We actually have our alumni call this Saturday. So all the alumni here, that's my reminder to you. I hope to see you again this weekend. All right, and then as I mentioned, there are currently just 4 spots left on this trip. It really has been filling up quickly from the moment we announced. And yeah, it's coming up, I think just 3 months left to go. Here we are at the end of October, and this trip is towards the end of January. So if you want to reserve your spot, make sure that you get your deposit in. It's a $500 deposit that reserves your spot so you can make sure you can come on the trip. And we also have payment plans so that you can spread the rest of your payment out over the coming months. And we're able to customize that however you like. So if you feel ready, I really encourage you today after this webinar to go and get your deposit in ecovillagetours.com/Bali. If you're someone who's kind of old school, likes to talk to people more, we have another team member. She couldn't be on the call here today, but her name is Rebecca. And Rebecca is happy to speak with you on the phone, on a Zoom call. She can do the booking with you over the phone if that's what you prefer. So you can schedule a call with Rebecca, ecovillagetours.com/discovery-call. And I'll put that link into the chat as well so you have it. But really, encouraging you here to not wait. If you're thinking, oh, there's still a lot of time before January, it is coming up fast, and this trip is filling up fast, which is awesome because it's going to be amazing for Kavitha and all the work she's put into this and all of the communities that you'll get to visit and who will be supported by this trip. So we're just thrilled that this partnership is coming together and really invite you to step into it and become part of the adventure. All right, so that was my promotion. Thank you for listening. And now we're going to enter the Q&A time. So I'm going to stop my screen share and I'm going to turn off the spotlights here so that we can see each other. Feel free if you want to turn on your video. It's really good to see some faces. I know some people are doing other things and multitasking, but if you want to come and sit down and be with us, this is the conversation time of our session, and it'd be great to see some faces. Excellent. Okay, so questions. If you have something you'd like to ask or you have a comment to make, please raise your hand and we'll call on you to speak. Also, feel free to put any questions you have into the chat. Would also love just to hear a few stories from the people here and so curious what's drawing you to Bali at this time. And yeah, and Mika had asked about, do people live at the Green School? And actually, Kavitha, that was a question I had as well, because when I went to the Green School website, they talk a lot about community, and it kind of almost made it seem as if people live there, but I'm not sure.
No, the Green School is a school, and the Sibang Eco-Village nearby was a community started for parents and those that wish to live near the school. But actually, the school in itself um, has created eco-village development shifts in that region of Bali. So it was really an active player in bringing diversity and initiating projects relating to the bioregion. And that's why we've included it in this tour. We're visiting some sites that are open to receiving new members and some sites that are just model projects, which are remarkable in their own standing, and trying to explain a little bit what eco-village development can be. Often we assume that visiting eco-villages means only visiting like an intentional community where certain people live and choose to live together, but actually these communities are placed within a certain social and environmental context, and that's what we're trying to unpack during this tour, to really show you the eco-region and why so many projects are popping up here in Bali relating to more conscious living choices.
Yeah, yeah, great. I really appreciate that. And I'm curious, of the communities that are open to new members, they're open to expats and people who are foreigners who've chosen to move to that region. You mentioned that seems to be a pretty smooth integration with people learning the language and getting familiar with the culture. What is the experience of maybe somebody on this call who doesn't yet live in Bali but is considering moving there and maybe joining a community?
Mm. Well, we might be the only ones so far, as I'm aware of, really inviting new people to join. Many of the other existing eco villages are quite full and have reached their maximum capacity. So they may be open to receiving one or two more, or having people on a waiting list, or engage with them for trial periods if a spot opens up. But that's really why we felt like, okay, this is a place with lots of potential to start new community. So if you're one of those people that are into founding projects, you are almost guaranteed to have a list of people wishing to join soon. We've been here only 2 years, and our waiting list of interested members is growing. I think we've had over 50 people sort of put their hand up and say, yeah, we're coming back for an EDE, or we'd like to join. And we didn't expect that. We really didn't. And now we have requests to host the Ecovillage design program in 3 different locations in Indonesia. And that was very promising as well. One will be held at Taman Petanu, and one of the sites we'll be visiting, because they feel this sort of need to create new spaces and more eco-village neighborhoods. And another one will be in Lombok, which is not far from Bali, and seems to be receiving this wave of, this carrying on a similar type of work, because it is less populated, and it's also very welcoming of this type of work. So our colleagues there in Lombok are really eager to also receive groups like-minded groups with intention and looking for depth. And we have another site on the Java mainland, which will be looking for more eco-village education and development. So hopefully within the next handful of years, we could name more active projects, and perhaps you could even be part of some of them, where you could be founding an eco-village community and do that with like-minded people.
Wow. Wow. Such fertile ground for community living. That's amazing. Yeah, to hear. Obviously, it's a lot of work and a big project, but it sounds like that's a great region to start new communities. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Anything you're sitting on? How about Sabine or Heidi? Are you thinking of coming on the Bali trip? Or you're just curious and here to learn?
I'm curious, because I was in Bali last year and it's undergoing a lot of development right now, probably more development than the locals would like. So how do you, Kavitha, balance that with people's desire to move there? Because it is such a lovely place, but it seems to be, it has there are a lot of problems with overdevelopment and like wells being drilled that are below the level of the local people's wells that basically is taking their water. And so what's your approach since you've been in this movement for a long time? Like, how do you vet these and there's also a lot of greenwashing that goes on, as I'm sure you know, where people are like, oh, it's an eco village, but it's not really. That's just something that they say. So maybe you can speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, Bali is overwhelmed by having so many people in such a small space, especially in the south. Like Jessica had mentioned, it's really congested and traffic is insane, and like any other um, developed region of the world, all the problems that come with that are very much alive here in Bali. And we don't want people to assume that they're just coming to a utopian paradise. But the reason why we chose to be here, and similarly the reason why we still recommend people to go to Oroville as well, even though Oroville too is going through this type of shift in its stage of development, is because there are so many like-minded people and projects, at least more than we have found in other places of the world. So I think I read somewhere that there was a sort of ranking of most conducive places in the world for eco-village development. And maybe Cynthia, you know about this, or perhaps you even wrote an article on it. But I remember something vaguely about Portugal being perhaps number one or two as a country, but Bali being on that top three or top four list. And it's simply because, yeah, the world is a very challenging place to be today. And there are just a few regions in which it might be easier to create this type of community. And we have to work very hard on these challenging topics to make sure that that they don't take over. And hopefully we get there. But doing it together with a neighborhood that is ready to fight or ready to work hard gives us a sense of hope, and not feeling that we're alone in it. And I think yeah, that's why we chose to live and work here. And I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Great. Yeah, excellent points. And as much as we're hyping up Bali, we also don't want anyone to think, oh yeah, this is a paradise. They've got it all figured out. Of course not. You know, they're affected by the challenges of the world, just like any other place, especially one that's experiencing a lot of incoming people and development. Yeah, very good. Okay, well, we had a question here in the chat about visa requirements And thank you, Jess, for responding that there's many different types of visas. I would just want to clarify, so Kavitha, for international folks coming to visit Bali for the 10-day trip, maybe a few extra days on either side, do they need a visa? And if so, what kind? And what is your advice for travelers?
Mm. You know, Bali's economy depends heavily on tourism, so they make it very easy for you to come here. You can get a visa online before you leave if that makes you feel safer and more secure. It will also cut the time required at the immigration lines. Or you could just arrive and apply for your visa once having landed. I think most nationalities have a free visa on arrival, which is up to 30 days and can be extended for another 30 days if you would like to add on a second month, simply by visiting one of the immigration offices on the island, and there's several of them. Just tagging onto the visa topic, this is one of the topics that comes up a lot relating to eco-village development and questions around like, oh, what's if I would like to move to Bali and live there? What does a visa look like then as a resident and as an active, really designing your life and work around this context? And I'd like to just mention that that might be the biggest challenge simply because visas are incredibly expensive to be in Bali. And it's also an opportunity to build community because the amount you need to invest to start a legal entity here is quite high, and the visa fees are quite high. So what we have seen is that people are pooling together. They're starting initiatives, collaborative initiatives with locals and expats in order to make that affordable and feasible. So that's actually, that sort of pressure is creating Ecovillage and is creating community. So yeah, it's interesting how sometimes what might feel like a limitation or a challenge actually is an opportunity to collaborate and create entities that are eco-village like in character. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So interesting. Yeah, so it sounds like it's easy to come for a short visit, easy to come and experience it. But then if you're ready to commit, that's when the challenges, you hoops and hurdles to overcome, potentially in collaboration with others. I kind of really appreciate that model. Yeah, excellent. Okay. Well, we're gonna begin to wrap up here. I wonder maybe, Jess, if you have anything you want to add with all that you've heard and your recent experiences of moving there. And hi, Maya, so glad that you're here as well. We see you.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to add that it truly is a magical place that I feel like until you're here experiencing it, it's a bit difficult to describe to someone. But one thing that I really appreciate about what Kavitha said and what I've experienced here is like how deep the culture is still for the local people, even though they've had people coming from other cultures and countries for a long time now. And part of that is the spirituality. And they have offerings that they every single day place on the doorsteps of every house. So, you're just constantly reminded of this connection with the spirits and with our ancestors. And it's just all around us. And this, through the smell of the incense and the offerings that you see every day. That's a very unique part, I think, of living in Bali. And also just how friendly the people are. Like, it's incredible how kind and welcoming, and not only to us adults, but to children. I think it's like they're so friendly to children in a way that I haven't really experienced in other places. So that's really fun and great as, having Maya here with me.
Ah, yeah, excellent. Thank you. Good, and I'll just put some links into the chat here just so you have them with you. So once again, the website, if you feel ready to place your deposit, if you would like to speak with Rebecca, I have the link there to schedule your call, which should just be 30 minutes, one-to-one, if you have additional questions or thoughts that you'd like to share with somebody on our team. Okay, well, thank you all so much. Thank you, Jess. Also, Mika, who's here, staff member supporting. She's the one who does all our beautiful social media. Really appreciate you. And Kavitha, of course, thank you so much for sharing. You just have such a beautiful presence and like you can feel that, oh, this person grew up in an eco village and is really walking the talk and deeply immersed in the culture. So thank you so much for sharing your presence with us.
Thank you, Cynthia, for creating this opportunity.
Yeah.
We're so excited to receive you all, if you'd
Yeah,
like to
my
be.
pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you as well. Okay, take care, everyone. Thanks for your participation.